Hello people, this is Sonali, the Melodramatic Bookworm. If you've been here before, welcome back, and if you're new to my channel, welcome to the Melodramatic Bookworm family. Also welcome to a brand new book recommendations / review video. In today's video, I'm going to talk to you about all the romance books that I've read in the last 365 days. So as you know, every year for Valentine's Day, I do a vlog in which I try to read as many romance books as I can. Mostly the number is 14, but I try to get to as much as possible. But this year it was not going to happen. I knew that my reading is not at that place anymore. So I thought, why not bring you all the romance books that I've read in the past year since that last romance reading vlog, which I did. I leave the link to that vlog up here as well as in the description box below. So after that video, I read 13 romance books in 2024, and so far I've read 8 in 2025, mostly because I wanted to make this recommendation video for you. I have a list of the 21 books that I've read, and I will be reviewing, not recommending, and recommending some of them to you. So without any further ado, let's dive right into this book recommendation / review video, and let me share with you all the romance books that I've read since February 14th, 2024. First up is Learn by Heart by Emma Donoghue. This is a historical romance, and this is based on a true story. And in this, we follow Eliza and Lista, who meet at the Manor School for Young Girls, I think the name was, in York. So this is the kind of school where girls are sent to learn to become a good homemaker, a good housewife, or something of that sort. But when these two women are brought together, they are made to room together, they find companionship in each other, and how the relationship grows and changes and shifts and transforms is what this book is all about. There are pockets of brilliant writing, but then again, there are places in which I'm like, I don't need to know all of this. It sort of feels a little forced. And even though the writing only half worked for me, I would still recommend this book and recommend that you go and read up on what happened to these two girls and you couple these two together, and I think it's a love story for the ages. Next is Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and even though I haven't spoken about this book much on the channel here, I still feel like I've spoken way too much about this book. It is a marriage of convenience between a vampire and a werewolf, and when they see how each other's communities run and they get to know each other more and more with each passing day, how they fall for each other is what this is all about. But there are scenes where it just felt to me. That was what took me away from the whole allure of this book. Otherwise, it was okay. It was well written, that much I'll say. But those few scenes, like... So if you don't like explicit scenes that are weird, I'm not talking about human to human intimate scenes. I'm talking about a vampire and a werewolf. So keep that in mind before you decide whether or not to pick this book up. Next is one of my favorite books of 2024, and it is across genres, not just romance books. So that is Funny Story by Emily Henry. This is about two people who find out that their fiancés, who are best friends with each other, are leaving these two for each other. So Daphne's fiancé Peter is leaving Daphne for Petra, his best friend, who is Miles's girlfriend. So now Peter has the audacity to say that you can take your time, take a week to get your things out of the house. So she has no place to stay. So now she is desperate to find a place, but Miles, since now Petra has moved out and he has an extra bedroom in the house, she asks him whether is it possible just until I find a new place, etc, etc, and he says okay, and she moves in. Now how these two hit it off is what this book is all about. This is one of the most beautiful love stories I've ever read. I did a full video review of this book last year. If you'd like to go check that video out, link will be here as well as in the description box below. This is funny, witty, warm, relatable, and it just makes you think about all the people in your life that are there for you. It's brilliant. Just go read it. Then comes Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, and this is again another book that is so gut wrenching that it will leave you sad by the end of it, but it will also fill you with hope. So this is the story of Justin and Emma, who believe that they have curses on them, that they are cursed, that anybody who they date, the next person to meet that person after their breakup will be that person's soulmate. So they never get soulmates for themselves. So now someone, I think Justin puts up an ad or something, and then these two get in touch, and how they hit it off, how their personal lives, how their familial lives, and how their past traumas come into play forms the entire story. It is Abby Jimenez's best book to date, because to see how Justin and Emma communicate, but to also see that at times there's nothing you can do to communicate. There is nothing that your mind and your brain will allow you to do in order to tell the people around you, the people that you love them, that they matter to you. So it's like you will fold in on yourself and you will pull yourself back, because there's so much weight of the past weighing down on your shoulders. It's a little long. I wish it had been like even 50 pages shorter would have been great, but I feel like it is worth it in the end. Next is again, my god, this book just left me in tears. There is actual video evidence. I read this for the Reading Booktuber Favorites episode 1 that went up last year. If you'd like to go check that video out, link will be here as well as in the description box below. So this book is Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake, and this is a love story. This is about two people who on paper seem so completely removed from each other, but when they do come together, they click in a way that even they never thought possible. Aldo is a professor and he continuously thinks about hexagons and how the world is made up of hexagons and time travel and etc, etc. Then there is Reagan, who is a bipolar counterfeit artist, and the conversations that these two have, I cannot explain what the story is about. You have to go read this because it is that poetic. In the moment, it will settle into your mind and it will make you understand that this is a story that is for the ages. I'm having deja vu right now because I feel like I've said this in the video before, but there are no superlatives that I can use for it because it is that amazing. Next is Soulless, the first in the Parasol Protectorate series by Gail Carriger. This is about Alexia, who lives in a Victorian high society in which there are vampires and werewolves, but she has no soul. If she has no soul, the vampire or a werewolf or any supernatural thing cannot attack her. And she will be able to inflict harm on the said vampire or werewolf. So now there are unexpected appearances and disappearances of vampires, and everybody thinks Alexia is responsible, but she has to find out what exactly is going on. So she has to work with a werewolf. So what exactly happens in this whole chaos and hullabaloo is what this book is all about. It is fun. Sometimes it just gets super nuts. One of the most fun books I've read in 2024. So highly recommend. Next is Not in My Book by Katie Holt. This is the story of two rival writers, one who writes a romance and one who writes literary fiction. When these two butt heads in a writing class, the teacher is just fed up of them causing chaos in class and disrupting the class, so she puts both of them together on a project. And now when these two have to work together, how they find each other, how they develop, if you will, their relationship is what this story is all about. And this was fun, but I will tell you, do not read this in public because so many spicy scenes that it will just... I was not embarrassed, but it was like I was sitting on a plane and I was reading it, and but it is still fun. I wouldn't like wholeheartedly recommend it because it was rather too long. But I would still recommend that you give it a try if you love the romance genre, especially because genres are butting heads in this. Then comes The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This was a book that sort of reignited the fire in me to write my own book. So that is why I will always hold this book close to my heart. Although I thought that the writing and the storyline, the plotting could have been a little bit better. But this is the story of Clementine, who has moved into her aunt's old apartment. Her aunt has died, so she has moved in. One day she finds a strange man standing in the middle of the apartment, and he tells her that he is the son of Clementine's aunt's friend, and he wanted a temporary place to stay while in the city. At first she is like, no, this is not possible, etc, etc. But as time passes, she is like, okay, fine, let it be. I anyway go to work all day. How is it going? But this man who has just appeared in front of her, he is from 7 years in the past. So how is Clementine going to cope with this revelation, and how is she going to cope with the fact that the man that she is falling in love with is actually from the past? It is well written, it is unexpected in places in a very good way, and it brings together a lot of things that make the story work, because you are rooting for Clementine to find love, but you're also rooting for her to succeed in the publishing industry, for her to do what her heart wants, because sometimes you just have to step away to see what you really want to do. So 7 Year Slip was good. It was not my favorite, but I'll still recommend it because the storyline is very, very interesting. Next is Textbook Romance by Kristen Bailey, and this is the story of a woman who finds out that her husband is cheating on her while at the wedding of one of her best friends. When she finds out, a friend of her friend is sitting there with her, they are talking. Everything happens, he drops her home and he leaves. So cut to a few months later, she is a teacher at a school. So she finds out that that young man has now joined the school, and she is now in the middle of a divorce, a messy divorce, and these two hit it off, and how they navigate all these feelings, and how she comes to terms with the fact that she is falling in love with this guy, but she also has to reconcile the fact that she has 2 teenage children and she has to take care of them as well, forms the entire story. This is sweet, this is fun. I don't think there's anything else I can say about this because it is pretty straightforward. It's not like very steamy or anything. So if you'd like to read a romance like that, this is one that you should definitely pick up. I mean, it's saying something that the name of the book itself is Textbook Romance. So next is The Switch by Beth O'Leary, and this is the story of Eileen and Lena. Lena has lost her sister, I think about a year or so ago, and she has not recovered from it. So, and she sort of bungles up in a presentation. So her boss calls her in and she is like, you are going to take a sabbatical of 2 months. I don't care, you need rest. And you will come back, but you need to take care of yourself as well. So Lena decides to move to the village that her grandmother Eileen lives in, and they decide to swap places. So Eileen comes to London to sort of live her life for the next 2 months, and Lena goes and lives in the village to learn that life, to learn the quieter life and to experience it, and how her life sort of turns around and what she discovers about herself and about the people in her life forms the entire story. It is fun, it is engaging, and I listened to this as an audiobook, so the people who did the narration, the narrators were amazing. I think for Lena, Daisy Edgar Jones was the one who did the narrating. Basically the voice acting was brilliant. It's laugh out loud, but you also relate to Lena in a lot of ways. It will also make you sad in some ways. I mean, there are a lot of things that this book is, and it all comes together in a fantastic way. Next is The Situationship by Abby Jimenez. This is a short story in which we follow Maddie from Just for the Summer, who is Emma's best friend, and Doug from, I think, Part of Your World, which is the first in that series, and how they come together, as in they meet each other on the road and how they start talking. It forms that story, and it is sweet. It is short, it's sweet. There's not much I can tell about it, but it's still a very nice, funny read that you can definitely check out. It's only available on Kindle as of now, if I'm not mistaken, so please keep that in mind before you decide to pick it up. Next is Daydream by Hannah Grace. This is the third in the Maple Hill series, and this follows Henry and Hallie. So Henry is the quiet guy from the first 2 books who just says everything that comes to his mind. He has no sort of restraint whatsoever. He is devilishly intelligent, but sometimes it just happens that he blurts out things that shouldn't be blurted out as well. Now Hallie is an aspiring writer, and she is the eldest child in her family, and she is sort of the family manager, where she's expected to do everything for everyone. Now Henry is the new captain of the hockey team, and he needs to find a way to bring together academics and his sports, and he asks Hallie to tutor him. And Hallie, for the book that she is currently writing, she wants to have new experiences, and Henry promises to give them to her. So now what happens when these two come together forms this book. So this is a cute book. Again, it's fun, it's bantery, but I felt like the banter from Icebreaker and Wildfire just wasn't there, because the people just left. This is a brand new chapter in these two people's lives. Those characters are what made me like those books so much, but in this book it's there, but it's not at that level. I still enjoyed this book to no end, but I wish there had been a little more. I will still recommend this though. If you can read it after Icebreaker and Wildfire. And another disclaimer, another note is that these are all open door romances, so please keep that in mind before picking this book up. Next up is The Happy Life of Isadora Bentley by Courtney Walsh. This book I read for the Reading Booktuber Favorites episode 2, which went up in December. If you'd like to go check that video out, link will be here as well as in the description box below. So this is the story of Isadora Bentley, who is a researcher, and she has been burned in love before, so she has decided that she is not going to be in a romantic relationship again. So she has a lot of set rules. Now she comes across an article called 31 Ways to be Happy, and she decides to take this up as her next personal project, and she decides to see if all those ways work. What happens when Isadora is actually finding that some of these ways to be happy are actually true, they actually work. So there's no romance in the gist that I just told you, right? The thing is, she does meet a very handsome professor who seems to have the hots for her, and he decides to help her in this whole project. And how they hit it off, it's not just what this book is about, it's also about Isadora finding peace for herself, her learning to build a community, or her learning to make friends. And it is one of the loveliest books I've read. It was relatable, it was sad, it was happy, it was joyous. To see the community, to see the friends that she's making, it just made me so warm. So if you are looking for a romance book with a love as well as introspection in it, then this is one that you should definitely pick up. Next are two hockey romances. One is Behind the Net and the other is The Fake Out. Both are in the Vancouver Storm series by Stephanie Archer, and they were very similar in the structuring as well. So Behind the Net is about a grumpy hockey player who is the captain of the team, if I'm not mistaken, and he needs an assistant. So when he opens the door and finds his high school crush standing over there, he's like, I have to be the grumpiest grump ever and put her at arm's length because I don't have time for romance. I need to take care of my mom. I need to be good at hockey. And now Pippa, who has just landed this job, she has a crush on Jamie Stryker, who is this grump. When she realizes that she has to be his assistant, she is like, but her parents have always said that you need the stable job, you need a stable life to make a career, to live properly, to live in peace, etc. So now she has to make her way up the top, but she is a great singer and she wants to make it in singing, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen. So for the time being, she's going to be Jamie's assistant. So how these two come together forms this entire story. It is an open door romance. There is a lot of longing, there is a lot of fake dating in here as well, because Pippa's ex is also in the equation. What happens at the end of it, how these two reconcile their feelings for each other, is what this book is about. And it's a little too long, but it is fun and it is a little too extra with the spicy scenes, but that's all I can say about it. It's okay if you are a fan of a slow moving, sluggish steamy romances, spicy romances, then this is one that you can definitely pick up. And the fake out is about Pippa's sister Hazel, who is a physio with the team, and she wants to open a yoga studio, a fitness studio where everybody is included, every body type is welcome, and she wants to make everyone feel the best they have ever been. So she is saving up, and right now she is working as a physio for the team in which Jamie Striker is playing. So now Rory Miller enters the scene. So he seems to have this endless depths of self-confidence, and he just raises Hazel's BP every single time. But now Hazel's ex, because of whom she has just given up on love and relationships, he is transferred to the team. Rory, he cares about Hazel, so he sees and he's like, see, if you want, I can do something about it. You tell him that both of us are in a relationship with each other. Hazel, at first she's like no, and then she's like yes, and how this whole fake dating thing goes on is what this book is about. Yes, there are similarities. The structure is the same length of spicy scenes, the same amount of spicy scenes, but in this one there's a bit more of the issues showing up, the bit more of the trauma showing up, and them being there for each other through it all. So that's the only up that I think. Otherwise they're pretty similar in stature. Next is Heartbreak Vows by R.T.V. Raman. This is the story of Simon Archer and Ophelia Rai. Ophelia Rai is the sort of the heiress to the family that founded Barons Bay, where this story is set in. When they were still kids, still young, Ophelia broke up with Simon while her father watched. So Simon decided that he is going to work hard, he is going to make a name in the world, and he becomes this huge personality, business personality, who everybody fears. Ophelia always wanted to work in fashion, and she is working with her family's fashion house, but the fashion house isn't doing so well, and in an act of desperation she approaches Simon and asks him for help. Now they are in a fake marriage situation, but what happens when old wounds start opening up is what this book is about. This is a good romance written by an Indian author, and to see the pain that Ophelia is in, to see the pain that Simon is in, and their past traumas, their past hurts all coming out in full play. It is sad, it is intriguing, but it has a happily ever after, something that R.T.V. Raman is very open about her books. This is another example of the grumpy sunshine trope, and the thing I love most about this book is that Ophelia Rai is such a strong character. She knows what she wants, she knows what she wants to do. So if you're looking for a homegrown romance book, if you want a romance book by an Indian author with the spicy scenes, it has a lot of spicy scenes, then Heartbreak Vows is one that you should definitely pick up. Next is Cruel Winter with You by Ali Hazelwood. This is a short story. It's a novella. It's between a short story and a novella. This is a story of two people who are stuck in the house, and they are reminiscing about all the things that went wrong. The woman, I don't even remember the names at this point, but the woman is thinking about the times that the guy who is the younger brother of her best friend kept asking her out, but she kept denying it even though she felt the same way about him. And what happens when these two are closed in a house together in the middle of a snowstorm forms this story. I mean, I'm not saying that there are steamy spicy scenes, but there's just something that the MMC does that is like so if you're looking for a quick romance, this is one that you should definitely pick up. Next is My December Darling by Lauren Asher. This was an okay read. It was a fun read, not like the Dreamland Billionaire series by the same author. And this is the story of a woman whose sister is getting married to her ex, and now her ex's best friend Luke, whose full name is Luke Darling, is also there. And now since the wedding is set around Christmas time, they have to spend a lot of time with each other. So now what happens when this guy starts growing on her forms this entire story. It is sweet, it is nice, it's a little too dragged out and stretchy in places. Even for a novella, those dragged out stretchy places are a lot. But on the other hand, if you look at the overall length of the story, It's a pretty sweet one. If you'd like to go read the story, I think this is available on Kindle Unlimited as well. So next is Venetian Lessons in Love by Jenna Lobianco, and I would not recommend this book. I don't even want to get into this because then I would spoil my mood by talking about it, because it's rather irritating. Next is another book by Aarti V. Raman. This is called No Other Love. So this is about Anika and Vikrant, who are almost divorced. They had one big argument and everything went for a toss. Now Vikrant has gone back to his village and set up a hospital over there. Now Vikrant has come back almost a year later and he's asking her for a favor, for her to come back to the village for Ganesh Chaturthi celebrations and to pretend for a week that she is still his wife, because his parents don't know that they are on the path to divorce. Anika agrees, and when she reaches there and now they have to spend this 1 week together, they are wondering why they even separated. They rediscover themselves and they rediscover the love they have for each other, but their past problems also raise their head. This is a well-written story and it shows how not communicating your needs clearly with your partner can create so many problems with you, but also the fact that you have to understand what your partner is not saying as well. There has to be a healthy combination of both, a healthy mix of both. So it is a good depiction of all that, but it's just an okay read. The characters could be very annoying at times, but it is still a quick read. It's a short read. I think you can finish it in like 3 to 4 hours maximum. So if you're looking for a quick read by an Indian author, then this is one that you should definitely check out. And last but not the least is With Any Luck by Ashley Poston. So this is a short story about Audrey Love, who believes that she has a curse of sorts, in that she has no luck whatsoever because everybody who she kisses finds the true love, but it's never her. So now it's her best friend's wedding, and the previous night at his bachelor party, she fears that she kissed him and now he has disappeared. So she goes on this whole search for her best friend along with the maid of honor, and what she realizes about herself and the things that she realizes about relationships in general forms this short story. It is fun, it is quick, it is an easy read, it doesn't have any spice. So it is sweet and it is something that you can finish it in under an hour. So this is one that I would recommend to you. It is a good read. So those were the 21 books that I read in the last 365 days. What did you think of this video? What did you think of these books? Have you read any of the books mentioned in this video, or do you plan to pick any of these up? I hope you do. Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please like it and share it to spread the word. And if you like my content and would like to see more from me, don't forget to hit subscribe and click on the bell icon beside the subscribe button to get notified as and when I post new videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Until next time, keep reading, keep watching, and add melodrama to your life.